waiting in Laodicea. And today we're going to be talking about the very first part of a series on the seals, the bowls, and the trumpets. We're going to start out with what probably is one of the most popular parts of the book of Revelation, and that is the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And although it's popular, it's often misunderstood. It's been misquoted and taken out of context, and people have made up the four horsemen. So who are the four horsemen traditionally of the apocalypse? Well, number one, you have death. All three of the examples I'm going to show you today, death is in the list. Death makes the list under both the Bible and of the traditional listing, and it also made the list under Neil Gaiman's book, Good Omens. Who else makes the traditional list? Well, there's death, there's war, there's famine, and pestilence. And in the Bible, we learn as we read about this four horsemen, we learn what they carry, what they're wearing, and what they ride. So, according to tradition and how people use it in modern culture, the four horsemen are death, war, famine, and pestilence. But this is not exactly correct. Let's look at Neil Gaiman's listing. Neil Gaiman lists the four horsemen as death, war, famine, and pollution. Why? Because pestilence got replaced by pollution. Pollution, apparently, according to Neil Gaiman, does a better job. Now, this is light humor, and I understand that, and Neil Gaiman was writing for humor. But what are the four horsemen of the apocalypse? Well, in order to answer this, we need to go to the Bible. To go to the Bible, we're going to go to Revelation chapter 6, and we're going to start at the very beginning.
Revelation 6. King James Version. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come, and see. And I saw, and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering, and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come, and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come, and see. And I beheld, and lo a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, Come, and see. And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
Okay, so as we see in Revelation 6, we hear one of the four living creatures calls forth, and the first one that comes out is a white horse. It has a rider with a bow, and a crown is given to him, and he comes out conquering and to conquer. Who is this? Well, we're going to leave that answer unanswered for a moment. We're going to go down to the second one, because we can identify him very quickly, because he comes out riding a red horse. And his rider was permitted to take peace from the earth. Okay, if you're not in a state of peace, what are you in? A state of war. So, the first rider that we can easily identify is war. Let's take a look at the third horse. Third seal open, out comes the rider. The rider's got a pair of scales in his hand. And he hears what seems to be a voice in the midst of the four living creatures saying, A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil or wine. Now, let's look at this. Now, what I was reading just now is from the English Standard Version. If you go back to the King James, we have a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and do not harm the oil and the wine. So what is the name of this horseman? Famine. He's allowed to take and cut into the wheat, the barley, basically the food. This is famine, like I said. So who's the 4th rider? When he opens the 4th seal, out comes the 4th rider, and he rides on a pale horse. Well, Death is the name of the character that rides on a pale horse. And riding with Death, we get hell follows him, or as it says in the ESV, Hades follows him. The same character. Basically, what's happening here is when Death comes out, all hell breaks loose, and he is given the authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill it with the sword, hunger, with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Now, so let's take a look at our listings again. If we go down. Okay, so let's take a look at those listings again. First off, you have the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, traditional, and that traditional listing we see number 1, pestilence isn't in the list, nor should it have been in the list. Death, war, and famine, yep, those can make it. Let's go to Gaiman. Death, war, famine, fine. Pollution, wrong. Going back to what the Bible says. We have death, we have war, we have famine. We do not have a name for number 1. We're going to cover number 1 in a second. But as you can see on the picture that I put in, the insert that's showing up over my face, probably a better view, I've added that he gets control over 1/4 of the earth. Now, what this means is 1/4 of the population of the earth is subject to death. 1/4 will die. So let's give you an idea. In my house right now, there are 8 people. 1/4 of that means to die. 2 out of the 8 would die. Now, does this mean that this is how it's going to work? Out of every 8 people, 2 will die? No. What it means is out of a whole population of the earth, 1/4 of the earth is going to die. And they're going to die with the sword, meaning in war, or being put to death. Because it doesn't just necessarily mean war. So war is not going to be solely responsible for it. But pestilence, who made the listing of the traditional ones, will take out people. So will wild animals. Now, as we read in Revelations, we're going to find out some of those wild animals can help. But who is the first horseman? Well, let's go back up and look at it. If we go back to the very beginning, let's look and see how he's described. Okay, as I open my Bible here, and I behold, and I looked and I beheld a white horse, and on its rider, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. Now, a traditional interpretation of this is the Antichrist himself, and this is where the Antichrist is introduced in the book of Revelations. This is a view I actually accept, because he comes out to conquer and comes out conquering to conquer. He will take command. Now remember, the book of Revelations is trying to give you a chronological view of what's happening through the end of times. In order for the Antichrist to be on the scene, he needed to be summoned. And who does this? Now, you may be sitting there wondering, who is it that's doing all this summoning? Well, to answer that, we need to go back. to the very beginning, and I watched when the Lamb opened one of the 7 seals. The Lamb, or the Lamb of God, is Christ. We learn in chapter 5 that he's the only one that can open it. Excuse me. In chapter 5 of the book of Revelations, what you see is the people in heaven wondering who shall be worthy to open the seals. We look at the beginning of Revelations 5. Then I saw in the right hand of him who was seated on the throne a scroll written within and on the back, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel with a loud voice proclaiming, "Who is worthy to open the scroll or break its seals?" And no one in heaven or on the earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll or to look upon it. And I began to weep loudly because no one was found worthy to open the scroll or to look into it. And one of the elders said to me, "Weep no more. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has conquered, so that he could open the scroll and its 7 seals." The Lamb, Christ, is the only one worthy to open the seals. And he comes forth and he opens the first seal, and the first seal we get, in my opinion, then is the Antichrist. He comes forth and begins the time of the tribulation. And during his reign, the Antichrist will reign in power for 42 months. At the end of that, Lucifer reigns. He has 42 months. At the end of the total time frame, 7 years, will be the return of Christ. So, but for today's message, we were looking at the 4 horsemen. Now, popular mythology has always found the idea of these 4 horsemen to be mesmerizing. The idea of 4 people coming out on horses, riding forth to bring forth the apocalypse. I mean, even the romance of it, though, pales when you read the reality. We may make these fictional characters, we may turn them into stories, we even may use the idea of an apocalypse as part of our comic books. I mean, according to my son, apocalypse is what?
One of 2 planets.
That's right. This is the planet that
Darkseid rules.
And I know he has to say it in a funny way because I guess that's part of the rules, but that's where Darkseid lives. Darkseid is one of the villains in Marvel's universe, right? DC universe.
Nephew of Steppenwolf.
Oh, that's right, the nephew of Steppenwolf. And have you watched the DC's Justice League? You saw Darkseid. No, you didn't see Darkseid, you saw Steppenwolf. The problem is all of those fictional versions don't match the reality. Because the reality is the first horseman is the Antichrist. The second horseman is war. The third horseman is famine. And then that leads to a lot of death. A quarter of the earth shall die at the hand under these 4. Now, when I next pick up the seals, I'll be going to the 5th seal. The 5th seal is a little different because we're not going to be given a new character, a new person per se, but for today we have brought up the 4 horsemen, who they are traditionally and biblically. And if you're wondering why I put Neil Gaiman's Good Omens in it, it's because of the different shows that have come out recently. This is the first one that this is the latest one to bring us the 4 horsemen. I wanted to show you that traditionally, and even modern concepts, modern usage, we don't use the right horseman. None of them bring up the Antichrist. War, famine, and death make the list under all the different usages. The fourth one they tend to miss because they don't want to admit the Antichrist is coming. Now, I will have another episode on the Antichrist where I discuss how he is supposed to be the anti or the opposite version of Christ, and that should be coming up probably within the next couple of weeks. This will conclude today's episode of A View of Prophecy, brought to you on Waiting in Laodicea. I am again A.T. Martinez, and I hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you have, please don't hesitate to click that like button. That helps. Hit the subscribe button. That helps a lot. Share the video. Get your friends and family to watch it. If you want to contribute, you have the donate button on this platform. Or you can, of course, go to our website and find the different ways that you can donate to us. Please have a wonderful day. And if you can help, we appreciate all the help you can give us. Now, may God be with you through the rest of this week, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.